Hello everybody, welcome back to the Center for Off-Road Research, Shenanigans, and Science Technical Division. Today we're going to talk about four-wheel steer rigs, and this is just some recommendations to help your servo last longer and perhaps work with a bit more authority on if you're running a rear steer system. And this particularly applies to a channel 3 system if you're using a stock controller. And there are benefits to a channel 3 stock system over proportional. I know that sounds ridiculous, but when you've driven both for a while, sometimes it's nice to be able to lock the rear end into one position and just steer the front around. With a proportional system, you either can crab walk or you have proportional opposite. You can't lock it in and then steer and drive around with the wheels locked. There's benefits to both. But I'll show you some recommendations that I believe will help your system work better and longer. If you're running a channel 3 system, when you click your channel 3 switch, it will either go full left or full right. There's no in between. It's just, it gives you everything. So if you have your drag link screwed in at the bottom in this farthest link, down here has the widest arc and the farthest travel. So literally, if this was pointing straight sideways, this would be farther out than this, and it would try to keep pushing that linkage to the left in this case, or to the right. By moving this up, it's not going to throw it as far, which is kind of good because you cannot adjust the end links on a channel. The end points on a channel 3 system. So what you need to do is limit the throw to be within the physical limitation of your steering knuckle. Another benefit is when you start bringing this in, this has a shorter arm to deliver torque through, and it will provide it with a stronger push, but it's a shorter but stronger push, and that's good. I'll show you one thing to look out for on that though. The thing that you'll need to watch out for is when you have this shorter throw, you see how the linkage right here wants to come together with the plastic here. Okay, it just wants to physically hit because it closes that gap. Here's what I've done to sort of mitigate that. There's a lot of plastic on these servo housings, and what I've done here, I don't know if you can initially tell, is I've taken my Dremel tool and I've flattened out, just kind of chamfered the edge of the servo housing. I did not grind through it, but I've tapered it. And by doing that, like on this side I've not tapered it, and it's a sharp angle. The other thing I've done here that you might not have noticed, it's not necessarily readily apparent, is I have taken my Dremel tool and also just kind of taken the top edge off of that link so it's a little bit flatter, and I'll show you the bottom side of it. See, on the bottom side it's still black and round. Just by let me move this so you can see it. Just by flattening that top a bit, again, I did not grind through it, I just ground into it, and it didn't really weaken it significantly where it's going to matter. But now when those pieces come together, once it's put on here, I'll just stick them on, turn my controller back on, my Fury Tech. I've got the Tiju on this truck. Okay, what you'll see here now is when I turn the wheel, those parts go in the other way. If you steer the rear wheels to the right, you gain a lot of gap and it doesn't really affect much. Let me tip my light in here and see if I can get some on it to see this better. But when you turn it to the other direction, it closes. Well, now those parts have just enough clearance that they barely miss each other. Even if they barely touch, it would be okay as long as they don't have any pressure coming against them. But that's what I do in order to keep my servos lasting longer. Just look for restrictions of movement. I mean, this is for any manufacturer. It doesn't take somebody in a basement looking at this stuff to know where things aren't right. I just gave it a little bit of a gap there. I don't know if you can see that. It just barely doesn't hit. Also, this is a note to Hot Racing and whoever else makes these links. You'll notice here, I'll zoom back out again, that for a rear steer rig, ideally, the servo horn will come straight down. The problem with that is, on the front, it does. When you're working with the front linkage, I don't know why in this case it works out better, but it comes mostly straight down. I would have that hole slightly over a little bit more so that this linkage could be absolutely straight down when the wheels are straight. If you wanted to really make a slick linkage, I would put a second hole right over here that's threaded for rear steer. And that way, this could be pointed straight down. It would eliminate that swing up into the servo gearing housing here. If anything, even maybe make it a little bit too far to the right so that it is even farther away, and if it swings farther this way, it's not going to hit it at all. But I just think a second hole, maybe 5 to 6 millimeters this way, so that I could screw this screw here instead of over here, would straighten that out, and that would be better. That's just a note for anybody making these products. Let's make it so you can go on the front or back, because right now that steering servo is in the wrong place. It's just that horn is like this, it should be like that. So basically the difference between the screw hole where it is now and basically from here to here is the difference. So here to here, maybe 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters. If you went 6, it'd probably be okay too. That's all I've got for this video. Hope it helped. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great week, everyone.